warm welcome to two of my favorite guests on the youth series. Uh, I think I've been having you again and again, and I just hope that we don't hog the entire podcast series. But I wouldn't mind because I really love you people and your minds. Welcome, Janvi, and welcome, Sanjeet.
Thank you. Always good to be back.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
thank you for inviting us and that too together. It will be a nice opportunity.
Yeah, it'll be
Yes,
fun.
Yeah.
yes. So we are on the letter M, and I was thinking I'll straight away get into the question. You will know what M stands for. So, what role does money play for you, Janvi? What does it mean to you?
Hmm. It plays a very vital role.
Hmm.
I never used to take into consideration कि पैसा कितना important है, how important is money. But then at one point you need money, like, and it's always said कि money can't bring you happiness. But to do a bungee jumping, I need a lot of money. So I think it's very important.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sanjeet, what does money mean to you?
Hmm.
I actually
It's
wanted
a
to go a little deeper than what Janvi said. A bit of it is generic and it is true for all of us. But in particular, what does it mean to you? Something.
for someone who is learning finance, you would assume that I have a very good relationship with money. But I've been thinking about this a lot and struggling to figure out how I feel about money. Uh, Recently, I had a conversation with my parents about traveling from Mumbai to Pune, and they were saying that I'm spending a lot. I travel by this AC bus, and they thought that it's a luxury, and so we got into this fight about whether that is really necessary. I thought that it's comfortable, and what's wrong with it? And they said no, कोई जरूरत नहीं है इसकी. चुपचाप विदाउट एसी से आ, कोई इतना खर्चा करने का जरूरत नहीं है.
Okay.
And it got me thinking about the bigger perspective of it, of my parents, and from what I know about them, their perspective of money has always been, and I'm just thinking right off top of my head because as I
Please,
said, I'm still
please,
figuring out what
please.
I feel about money. But my perspective has always been, and I've seen them figure out other things also, that to buy a house for themselves, that to buy a car for themselves, that to start right from scratch. So for them and a lot of their friends, the people from their generation that I know, for them, I've seen, for them, money has always been about let's save more,
Okay.
let's cut down on costs. Even when they have money, at some point, I'm guessing they didn't have enough, but today they have enough. एंड आई ऑफन टेल माई पेरेंट्स कि यार वो खरीद लो वो शर्ट, कुछ नहीं होता, 2,000 है तो 2,000 दे दो ना यार, क्या प्रॉब्लम है. बट आई थिंक इट्स स्टिल सो इंस्टिल्ड इन देम दैट they just have to save on money and cut down on it, probably because they didn't have it earlier. I think for me, ऐसा इतना भी पैसा नहीं कमाया मेरे बाप ने कि मैं बोल सकूं कि छोड़ो चलो उड़ाते हैं इधर उधर. But I think they had, let's cut down on cost. uh, but I think for me it is more like let's save money, but at what cost? So coming back to the example that I was giving, I wouldn't sacrifice my luxury for those 3.5 hours and pay for it a little bit more because I can afford it and not feel guilty about it. I think if my parents do that, they'll probably end up feeling guilty about it. So yeah, it's a interesting relationship with money.
Okay. Uh, so today I had the same conversation with my mother, but it wasn't a fight, thankfully. So my daughter goes to her classes from west to east. Okay. And she travels by rickshaw far more often than we ever did. So to us, it was an event. So, and because I was working in the corporate world, फिर तो cabs and this and that became the norm, and we didn't think too much about it. Now, if you were to ask me, I would think that our parents are right. I thought the way you think today. But there are days when certain contingencies arise and you've not been ready for that, you don't have anything, or you don't have the requisite amount. Then you are wondering how to figure out this. And these things happen without plans. So life brings you these challenges at times, and it can be, thankfully, so far I've never had something which is like completely out of the ordinary. But when I
Hmm.
keep hearing other people's stories and thinking that, oh, if this were to happen to me, then what would I do?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
have not really worked that out when I was younger, and now I think I should have. Of course, besides the extraordinary set of circumstances, I found myself with two patients in the house and long term
Hmm.
illnesses and whatever, I can give myself a bit of a long rope there. But having said that, when the present situation arises, you're thinking, where is my wisdom, man? I should have been wise about this.
Hmm.
And it
Right.
needs to have so for example, let me ask a question to Janvi on that. Did your relation with money change off late once you started to leave home and come out to stay? Did you start feeling a little more careful about these things, or has it been always there?
Um, Maybe when I was younger, I never understood the importance of saving money or keeping in mind how much to spend on everything. But after you start earning it, you know how much you have and you know how to use it. So and I'm really grateful for my dad to actually ask me to save up and invest when I'm young, so that I understand how to use my money properly instead of wasting it on unnecessary things. There are two things: one is need and one is luxury. Luxury is what you want and need is you actually need that, paying your rent or maybe getting something for your house or anything which is important. I know what I really need to spend money on, and I've tried to be more careful on how am I spending. So that difference is a lot. I have seen it in myself, and to give you an example, and maybe it can be relatable to most of your audience because young generation, and I mean, if the youths are watching it, they might be traveling from one place to other, staying in hostel. So I think last week I had a conversation with my dad saying ki, if I'm getting X amount of money, how much do you think that I should spend? And then he's like, I'm not in your shoes. It's your thinking, it's your wants to buy some things, and it's completely on you, but you should save things. And as Sanjeet mentioned earlier, that in their mind it's more about saving money and being guilty if you're spending it on a luxury. So these things are understandable, and saving money, because I mean, to save money it's very important. You can have medical emergencies or anything, and I've seen a lot of people struggling to fulfill that. And I think being cautious while spending money is important, and I have started doing that after I've started earning.
Your answer was lovely, but I was thinking about provoking Sanjeet a bit. So, Sanjeet, where does this sense of entitlement come?
Regarding.
So, you said that I am not willing to let go of my luxury. Say, let's continue the example for the sake of it.
Hmm.
It's not an
Hmm.
important example or a big kind of, yeah,
No, no,
but it's a
no.
small luxury, so it's a perfect example
Hmm.
because it can be avoided also, it can
Hmm.
be chosen also. So, what makes you feel that you don't want to let go of it?
So my whole point about that was कि okay, so it's not it. I think I am at a place where I can let go of it और जरूरत पड़ी तो मैं करता भी हूँ ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि मेरे को यही चाहिए. If this is
Okay,
not there, I won't do it. It's none of that.
okay.
But if given a choice, and if I can do it, why shouldn't I?
Hmm.
And it's not. It doesn't come from a place of entitlement. I think it. The whole point about it was, if life gives you a few privileges, what is wrong with enjoying them?
Hmm.
And I acknowledge the fact that not everybody has it. And I acknowledge the fact that probably my parents didn't have it a few years ago. And they had to make their way to it. And everyone has a different problem and different struggle with money. So if life has given a few privileges, what's wrong with enjoying them? So I don't think that's entitlement.
Janvi, do you agree? Is that not entitlement?
I won't say it as an entitlement because most, I mean, as far as I know, Sanjeet, or the example which is very relatable to most of them, you can have a choice, and if you have that kind of money, you can use it. But I mean, then, but the Indian thought process which comes along with this is कि मैं either if I'm spending, I'll cut down on a lot of things. For example, my mom and dad got a new house in Kothurud, and they are like नहीं अभी Domino's नहीं खाएंगे हम हर weekend. So then balance it, right? You can't just spend everything at once. It was their dream to get it, they got it. And I think they understood the value of that money that they have earned, and they got a house, and that's their reward, right?
Yeah, so the point that I agree, and the point that I was trying to put forth is you should save on money, and it's not about whether you spend a lot to luxuries. I'm just saying that you should, if you are able to afford it, just not doing it because of the guilt of not being able to spend on yourself
Uh,
is a problem.
okay. Wait, I had some couple of thought processes that ran counter crossing each other. So let me think what is it that I want to ask both of you. Uh, are you being defensive? One question I'm just asking you because she mentioned the word Indian. We have this thought process that we take decisions and then we have this thing, array, we are not supposed to be like this. Uh, and alternately, you are also part of the new generation. I find there is a lot of freedom regarding money. I
Yeah.
don't see it in a bad sense, but just that let's spend today, बाद में देखते हैं. There are enough number of people who live like that now.
Hmm.
That's
I
why
think
there's
I'm
no.
one of them. I think I'm one of them. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that. What if something happens and if I'm saving a lot, I'm not using the money that I have earned, at least what I have earned, not like I say, matlab, if I know the value of the money that I have earned, so I can save up a little bit from that and enjoy what I have earned. Because after 1 month, when you get that salary, you get that happiness of udawing it. And I think it's completely valid.
Uh, uh, Sanjeev, I want to keep pressuring you on this because you seem a little nicely discomfort zone me for this.
Hmm.
Janvi is enjoying the chat a little more than you. And I like the space that you are in, which is making you ponder on things that otherwise we may not think so deeply about.
Hmm.
So I'll give you a little more context because
Hmm.
between you and me, perhaps there is three generations, I would say, surely in terms of thought process.
Hmm.
Forget because these days there are generations between generations. So we are not even talking that. Even you guys, the Gen Z guys will see you like this, and Gen Beta is already coming, and all kinds of things are happening. So I'll just give you a little bit of a pre-mumble to the background that I come from. So my dad was a government servant, uh, worked in the bank, had a little bit of money. My friends were business owners, sons, so they had a lot more money, and we kept going. And they sometimes they picked up the tab a lot more than I did. I had just about enough to just contribute to my share, which was always not enough because there was a limitation on that, and my friends had a lot more money, and it didn't seem like a big deal. Uh, cut to once I started working uh, in advertising, going around with people who were again far above my own category of people, but I was making a reasonable amount of money, so I could spend. So cabs and rickshaws became default because I was working very hard during the days. So there was like रात को 2 बजे आ रहे हैं, full night किया है, सुबह आ रहे हैं. I cannot be thinking because I can sign the voucher and get the money. तो वो मैं पैसा खर्च करता था. There are a lot of people who fib on vouchers. I never did any of that. I said यार spend करते हैं क्योंकि ये मेरा डैड के पैसे से तो कर नहीं पाए. तो ये अपनी कंपनी दे रही है और मैं जब काम कर ही रहा हूँ इसी तरह से तो that is available to me. Cut to moving a little ahead and then being confident and looking into my mind on all these things because I'm not a very ambitious person per se. Uh, but what they used to call a pathan. मेरा वसूली का टाइम आता है तो I will just come and sit at your house and I'll wait till you pay me. I will not behave badly with you, do nothing, but I want my money. ऐसा सीन था. So I knew the value of money, but I was also at the same time not very ambitious. And if you were to tell me that you had a problem, I'd say, हाँ ठीक है बाद में देखते हैं चल we'll adjust. One thing I have seen about my spending is that I am far more easier with spending even when I don't have money. मतलब it may not be my own money, it might be चलो अभी आया है तो देखते हैं कल देखेंगे. I work very hard to earn that part. चाहे वो थोड़ा पहले खर्च कर लिया चाहे बाद में आया तो this is a new thing that has been happening very often with me. So is that something because I think I have learned this from the generation that has come after me and there is this ease with money कि ठीक है कर लेंगे. They are willing to work hard also and at the same time they are willing to work hard party hard wala has gone deeper than before. So do you want to reflect on that a bit, Sanjeet? Because you've not been mentioning the internal cross currents. Are there any or are there none at all?
No, there are. But so again, I was thinking of the whole generational thing with wealth, right? So, my dad and my mom, both of them worked. There were moments when I think my mom would have wanted to not work, but she had to
Yeah, okay.
because of whatever reasons. But I think there's always, and they didn't have a, so they had a smaller house. They had to move into a bigger house, so they had to buy it for themselves. They didn't have an house they would call their own, right? So they had to buy a house for themselves. They had to buy a car for themselves. They had to uh, do all these things from the scratch. And I think the kind of money that they have today, I don't think they saw it uh, at, at a young age. So I think to a certain extent that is also where the conditioning comes from about cutting down on everything even when you have it. And I've seen that about their friends as well, who are probably, I would consider them a lot richer. This is my friend's dad. They're quite well to do, and he was just we were just having a chat, and he said कि my friend has been insisting कि Mercedes खरीद ले, और खरीद भी सकता हूँ but doesn't feel right. So I don't think it is essentially there to do with the amount of money they have as much as to do with their conditioning when they were younger. For me, ऐसा नहीं था कि बहुत ज्यादा पैसा था, but I've never seen the other side.
Hmm.
अगर आज को मैं, if something goes terribly wrong, I still have one house that I'll go to, and that's my house, right? It's my parents' house, of course, but still, it's the house that I can go to. There were a lot of luxuries that my parents provided for me initially. So a lot of my conditioning and the ease with money came from a lot of abundance is a over, I don't know, but yeah, in a way abundance in that sense. So the ease comes from abundance. Having said that, I also feel money is quite complicated because I still feel sometimes. I'll give you a very small example and it'll explain it. And because Jahnavi is also here, we went on a trip recently, and all my friends earn, all of these guys earn, and I don't earn right now. सो एवरी टाइम एक बिल आता था तो मैं 6 से डिवाइड करके देखता था कि कितना हुआ, ये बजट में बैठेगा या नहीं बैठेगा, बिकॉज दीज गाइज वर गोइंग टू गेट देयर सैलरी ऑन द फर्स्ट एंड आई न्यू कि मेरा इतना ही बजट है. So, what money makes you feel and being sensible with money is one thing, and using it properly is one thing. But I think a lot of the conditioning comes from what you've seen, I think, initially with your parents. And having said that, I think my complaint with my parents will always be कि अब पैसा है तो थोड़ा अपने में खर्च करो ना यार,
हम्म.
इतना क्यों गिल्ट से जीते हो.
बराबर.
मतलब मैं, मेरे को याद है मेरे पेरेंट्स सिनेमा फिल्म देखने सिटी प्राइड में 300 का टिकट होता था, 3 लोग जाएंगे तो 900, वो छोड़ के 5 किलोमीटर दूर कहीं थिएटर में जाएंगे पिक्चर देखने बिकॉज इट्स 150 रुपीज ईच. नाउ दिस इज द सेविंग आई फील दे डोंट
You
नीड टू
are
डू एट दिस
you
पॉइंट.
ought to be thankful 50 वाला नहीं था. They would have shown कि हम तो और 5 किलोमीटर जाने को रेडी है.
आई डोंट माइंड गोइंग देयर, माई प्रॉब्लम इज कि यार
हम्म.
इतना क्यों कर रहे हो, यू कैन अफोर्ड इट राइट नाउ.
Okay.
सो आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि सेविंग नहीं करना चाहिए, or there's a like I said, money is complicated, but I think the whole idea of having money shouldn't it be to enjoy things as well, and to do things that make you feel better, and to enjoy a few luxuries, of course.
Okay. Good that you brought this up. Uh, so this calculation of your affordability of on a vacation, did it make you feel restricted?
uh, I wouldn't necessarily say so. Personally speaking, like you said, I haven't been the kind of person who's very calculative about money, and not always because I've had money. Even when I don't have money, like you said, मतलब दोस्तों के साथ बाहर गया, मैंने बिल दिया तूने बिल दिया, एक ही बात है मेरे लिए. And it's not out of कि, and I've paid bill for other people also when I've had them. I think I'm more in that sense easy with money. So yeah, so it did. I was conscious of what choices I made in terms of money, but it I didn't find it extremely restricting or hampering the fun that I had. Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe adding to this,
Hmm.
so everybody has a context now about the vacation trip. As an example, so when you're not earning, and when you gave this example that you were counting it by six, I was also doing that even when I was earning. And before
Hmm.
ordering, I did that.
No,
Even
no,
not
I did it before ordering also. मतलब मेन्यू देख के ही किया
exactly.
भाई.
So, so it's not about ki if you're not
हाँ.
earning and you're being calculative. I think it's your mindset. It's everybody's mindset, and I think
Hmm.
it's good that everybody of us have that thinking. At least we are thinking कि थोड़ा budget में है ना कि नहीं, instead of just
हाँ.
randomly spending it. And one more thing is कि even if I'm earning, I'm the most chindiest person in the group. रहने के लिए इसका कम हो सकता है. We can do this. We can find alternatives. We can do a budget trip. These are the things that I say. So one more most important thing is कि when you're not earning, when I was not earning, when I was in my hostel, and I've always, I mean, from 12th first year I've been in hostel. So my parents used to send me 10,000 per month. और तुझे इसमें करना ही है, जो भी
Hmm.
करना है 10,000 में करना है, बाकी
Hmm.
I mean, they won't say no. And after all this lecture of key save money and all, they will send me money. But I know that limit of spending money. When I'm earning, I can be shameless of spending a lot. I mean, पहले अगर मैं 10,000 पर मंथ करती थी, अभी मैं 50 करती हूँ. And I feel bad about that because I know कि I can fit my budget in 10,000.
Hmm.
And sometimes that gives you a guilt. And I think that is, I mean, if I have the realization of that, I think I'm proud of myself कि मुझे
Hmm.
है realization and I can cut down on
Hmm.
expenses in general. So it can be in both ways कि मतलब spend कर even if you're earning, even if you're not.
Hmm.
Little bit of consciousness is important.
No,
So
but
just to,
can I ask Ganga
Yeah.
something?
nahi, I have a funny thing to share. Then you can ask what
हाँ.
you want to. So she received 10,000 per month. I used to receive 10 rupees as emergency money. I used to tell my dad that I have 10 rupees in emergency because the rickshaw cost was 25 rupees from my college to the station. So there was never any rickshaw. Matlab, never in my whatever 3 and 1 year that I failed, I never took
Hmm.
a rickshaw. You got a lift because being a Sardar and engineering companies, so some or the other engineering guy would come and Punjabi guys, they would stop and they would give us a lift. But yeah,
Hmm.
मतलब फ्री में बहुत बार आया, बस में विदाउट टिकट भी आया होगा, पैसा नहीं है तो 2 रुपया बच गया है whatever. But yeah, so when she said 10,000, I said, oh shit, that's a lot of money.
But
For
that is in your this thing. No, अभी earning भी तो
She's
उसी
calling you old.
नहीं, I am saying a lot of my friends do not believe the monies that I quote, but I remember because as a kid, whatever. Today I was talking about there was these photos of Amitabh Bachchan we used to collect. They used to cost 5 paisa. इसे अरे नहीं
Oh.
नहीं क्या तू एंटिक्विटी वाला है क्या ऐसे नहीं बाबा तभी इतना पैसे का वैल्यू था माने यू गॉट समथिंग इन रिटर्न
Hmm.
तो दैट इज हाउ इट इज सॉरी संजीत यू वांटेड टू आस्क समथिंग
Uh, yeah, no. So what she said was interesting. That even though she earns for herself now, she was still conscious of it. My observation was that I think you guys have become more easier with spending on yourself. Do you agree with that? And do you think that has really happened? Not just in terms of when you're on a vacation and generally.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like Mintra scrolling is 24/7 now.
ओके
Yeah,
यू
I
आर
mean
आस्किंग मी
being
आल्सो
easy.
और हर ओनली संजीत
Ye-
What?
आर यू आस्किंग मी आल्सो और ओनली हर
Yeah, you also.
हाँ मैं फॉर मी ऑल ऑफ दिस इज फेयरली न्यू आई सो आई एम इजी विद मनी बट आई डोंट मतलब I like to feel that I'm rich all the time irrespective of the amount of money that I have. So
Hmm.
even if it is your money, I would think it is mine. And even if it is my money, I would think it is yours. And we can together, if we've decided that
Hmm.
we have that money at on the spot, and we
Hmm.
feel like I will not go to a Starbucks. My daughter keeps
Hmm.
saying this. I said no because the quality of everything there does not seem
Hmm.
to be worth the money that I spend. And I go opposite that. There is a equally good coffee shop and which is like marginally less. So if
Hmm.
there is something for 100 rupees in Starbucks, you will get it here for 80 bucks. तो
Hmm.
ज़्यादा कोई difference नहीं है. But the what I spend for, am I getting the value out of it? So one of the things that I do not do is I do irrationally spend money, but it is so if I see somebody on the street and I need to suddenly give 1 महीने का राशन तो then even if I
Hmm.
have limited पैसा मैं अभी तो दे दूंगा बाद में देखता हूँ.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
to me money is to feed abundance back to the world.
Hmm.
That's the reason why I spend money. Money it's not भले अपने ऊपर भी खर्चा करूं किसी के ऊपर भी the whole thing is Lakshmi has its own nature. It doesn't like to
Hmm.
stay trapped in uh, safe deposits and vaults and all that stuff. But having said that, there has to be a certain understanding of its importance. So many years back in Times of India, in one of the speaking tree things, it had mentioned work as Narayan and what you earn as Lakshmi. And it said, कि if you are bowing down to Narayan enough, then Lakshmi will respect you.
Hmm.
Something on those lines. And I think that's a very fair thing to ask of yourself. Are you equal to the money that you have? It doesn't matter what money you have.
Hmm.
Whether it's your dad's money, your money, this money, that money, lottery se aaya. Are you equal? Otherwise, Lakshmi will
Hmm.
matlab, wreck your mind. फिर you will तो like she says 24/7 मिंत्रा देखती है तो वो पैसा होना और ना होना is not a problem. That mindset becomes an issue because your mind is being filled with कि ये possibilities है ये खर्चा हो सकता है ये खर्चा हो सकता है अगर आई आई वर्क फ्रॉम के मुझे ये चाहिए तो देन आई गो बैक, गो एंड स्पेंड ऑन दैट। फिर भले वो
हम्म
बहुत महंगा हो तो भी चलेगा, बिकॉज वो महंगा नहीं है, मेरे को चाहिए।
हम्म
इवन इफ इट्स अ लग्जरी, इवन इफ इट्स अ नीड, मतलब आई एम नॉट
हम्म
मतलब डिमार्केटिंग देम राइट नाउ, बट मुझे चाहिए और आई एम श्योर अबाउट दैट। तो वो एक एक पैरामीटर ऑफ थिंकिंग है इन रिस्पेक्ट टू योर आंसर, दैट यस डू आई स्पेंड लिबरली, आई स्पेंड लिबरली।
हम्म।
बाकी किसी को देना है तो दो बार नहीं सोचना पड़ता है
No,
मतलब।
no, but specifically after you started earning.
अभी बहुत साल हो गए यार, मतलब बट आई ऑलवेज, so I come cheap. Let's just put it this way. I come fairly cheap is what I think. Lot of people, lot of my clients may agree, lot of my clients may not agree. But I'm here to help. I personally think money is a gift that the world gives you for who you are and what you're contributing to it.
Hmm.
And those both are not correlated. Do I give my best to the world all the time? Yes. So something or the other takes care of me. That is how I see it. It is a money uses you,
Hmm.
and that is the responsibility I live with. So I will not abuse it. I may
Hmm.
have when I was younger. I am unsure about being so understanding of this whole concept, but it's fairly open ended. That
Hmm.
you have it at a certain time. So when you're saying, "Go," I'm so no relation to what you guys have said so far. So I'll give you one example. So there was this girl who came from a very good family from Pune who used to work with me as a trainee of some other kind, but she used to sit next to me. We became good friends. Uh, माइका में कोर्स करके आई थी, 4 लाख या 2 लाख या 5 लाख जो भी वो था। एंड मतलब आज जो 10 लाख का वैल्यू है वो तभी वॉज लाइक 1 लाख का वैल्यू,
Hmm.
इन्फ्लेशन ये सब देख के। तो बट शी यूज टू बी हैप्पी गो लकी एंड थोड़ा बहुत सेंसिबल तो थी, उसका सनशाइन ही टॉरियन था, तो मैंने एकदम ही ग्राउंडेड और वॉट एवर। बट अदरवाइज शी वॉज लाइक एनी बडी एल्स इन हर जनरेशन। एंड तो उनके डैड सडनली एक दिन ही पास्ड अवे। उसके
Hmm.
बाद उसका मतलब हाव भाव ही चेंज हो गया। आई एम सेइंग कि देन द मनी आल्सो डजंट बिकम एन इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर। इट डज बिकॉज द वर्ल्ड स्टार्ट्स ट्रीटिंग यू डिफरेंटली, यू स्टार्ट सीइंग द वर्ल्ड डिफरेंटली। सो दैट क्वेश्चन, सो आई आफ्टर माय डैड पास्ड अवे आई रियलाइज दैट वर्ड अनाथ मीन्स अ वेरी, इट्स अ वेरी गुड वर्ड।
Hmm.
तो यू रियलाइज कि नाथ नहीं है, अभी मेरा कोई मास्टर नहीं है दुनिया में। तो एवरी इन्फ्लुएंस विल कम टू मी एंड आई हैव टू फेस इट। So
Hmm.
money to become
Hmm.
small factor which you anyway have to take care of after that because everything costs money. उसके बाद when you realize कि प्लम्बर आएगा साला ये नलका ठीक करता है, 300 क्यों ले रहा है भाई, 150 क्यों नहीं ले रहा है भाई, you start fighting or this or that. So I'm giving you nuances. These are not necessarily in one direction, but
Hmm.
how things can change. And when I said the word entitlement, it was to provoke, to make you think, what if you were on your own in the world at some point?
Hmm.
How would you see the world? And you still have that money and whatever they bequeath you, and you have that home and you have this home and you have money, you have your studies. We are not irresponsible people. Let's just start there.
Hmm.
But I'm saying still the level of responsibility, the level of understanding about the world.
Yeah.
Mane, there
Hmm.
is a, so Janvi, I wanted to ask you one question because ये इतना deep बातें कर देता है तो मैं भूल जाता हूँ बीच में। uh, Has there ever been a time, a day in your life when you needed some money and you had none and you still either had fun or not? Is there any example कि अभी immediately चाहिए, अभी चाहे वो फीस भरनी है या कुछ करना है या पिकनिक जाना है तो कंट्रीब्यूशन देना है या कुछ? Has there ever been a time like that? Ever?
Yeah.
Okay. Please tell
So
us.
yes. So I mean, there have been many instances ऐसा हुआ है. Even when I was not earning, that is irrespective of that.
Yeah.
But so I went to a trip with my friends, my society friends. So we had gone to Mahabaleshwar, and at that time, so the strawberry cream is a luxury parents के mind में, because
Hmm.
it's very expensive. It looks luxurious, and Mapro is in general expensive.
Yeah.
So then everybody ordered, and I really love their pizza. But then I saw my bank balance. I saw my wallet. I opened it. I saw. And then I was like, नहीं afford हो सकता है. I can't. I don't have money right now. And I don't think at that time GPay was working at that time. I think in 2010 or something.
Hmm.
2010
नहीं था.
नहीं 2015 में नहीं था.
Hmm.
सो वॉलेट में जितने मम्मी पापा ने पैसे दिए यू जस्ट हैव टू वर्क विद दैट. और
Yeah.
फिर तब नहीं था. एंड ग्रेटफुली I have got friends who help me out or I help out. And just like Sanjeet said कि एक दो तीन बार मैंने तेरा बिल पे किया तूने मेरा बिल पे किया उससे कुछ नहीं होता है. इट्स एक्चुअली आई अप्रिशिएट दोज काइंड ऑफ फ्रेंडशिप्स वेर यू डोंट काउंट मनी. पर ऐसे इंस्टेंसेस बहुत हुए हैं कि नहीं थे पैसे और नहीं एंजॉय कर सकते
But
हैं.
this is
बट
a
Hmm.
देन
luxurious thing. I'm saying you need money, money without which you cannot suffice at that point of time.
या
तुम खाने बैठी हो रेस्टोरेंट में, तुम्हारे पास पैसा नहीं है और तुम्हारे दोस्त नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ कभी?
नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ है. बट रेलेवेंट एक है स्टोरी मेरे पास. सो आई ऑलवेज वांटेड एन आईफोन. आई एम क्रेजी अबाउट एप्पल प्रोडक्ट्स because I really like the experience that I mean the way
Hmm.
the intuitiveness I love it. As a designer also I appreciate every each and everything and that's why I want an iPhone. Not कि I don't want to flex it in front of my friends कि मेरे पास iPhone है. But as a designer's perspective, I really appreciate the experience that it gives. And I was talking to one of my friend's mom. So I was just having a conversation. And then she said, Kim, you should be worth, matlab, you should earn it when you're worth that iPhone. I mean, you should, ऐसे उतनी औकात होनी चाहिए
Yes.
जब तुम आईफोन ले सकते हो. And I asked her, I mean, shamelessly, I asked her, I didn't think of anything. I asked her कि एक iPhone is going to decide your worth. I mean, she is earning. I am not. I am a very small person in front of her. She has seen the world. She has seen ये ऐसे चार बारिश ज्यादा देखे है वो सब ठीक है अप्रिशिएटेड. बट अ प्रोडक्ट तुम्हारा वैल्यू नहीं डिसाइड कर सकता है. और ये बहुत लोगों में मेंटालिटी है एंड दैट इज रियली रॉन्ग. एंड व्हाट यू आस्क्ड मी कि ऐसा कभी हुआ है कि नहीं. ऐसा बहुत बार हुआ है. मैंने रिक्शा वाले के बाद आधे टाइम तो इवन इफ आई हैव द मनी द रिक्शा वाला इज लाइक नहीं मेरे पास जीपे नहीं है. सो आई डोंट हैव एनी ऑप्शन. एंड दीज पीपल आई थिंक काइंडनेस कम्स हियर जब पैसे नहीं है. एंड आई मीन अगर कोई वेंडर है अगर इफ यू आर गोइंग टू Sinhagad. Okay, I'll give you a nice example. We went to Sinhagad. We had money in our GPay, पर ऊपर ऊपर रेंज नहीं आती है. So what to do with that? और फिर बाद में we had मिसळ वड़ा पाव everything ऐसे बहुत सारा लिया खाना. Everybody is having happily and then they are like नहीं नेटवर्क नहीं चल रहा है अभी what can you do? But then this kind तब मैंने काइंडनेस एक्चुअली देखा. दीज गाइस अंडरस्टूड की रेंज नहीं है एंड दे वर लाइक नहीं ठीक है तुम लोग बच्चे हो. बट दैट फीलिंग मैंने हैव कि मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है अभी मैं क्या करूं. दैट गिल्ट इज रियल.
उन वाले बच्चों नहीं सोचा उन्होंने. Sanjeet, I want to drill this deeper.
Hmm.
I want to first explain, Janvi, it's not about the being equal to the product. It's about, so I don't know if you guys have read Ayn Rand at some point of time.
द
Uh,
फाउंटेन.
the
मतलब
Fountainhead,
वही वाला है ना.
the Fountainhead and
फाउंटेन
the
हेड सॉरी. हाँ.
Atlas Shrugged, the two books,
Hmm.
they impacted me for a long time, for 10, 20 years of my young
Hmm.
life. And so money is a product of somebody giving some value in return.
Hmm.
राइट.
When you pitch yourself like that for a product of that kind, so it's also an aspiration. And one of the joys that you guys may not have seen, and I would invite you to try that for yourself in your life. Maybe just go one day without any money on the street and stay hungry.
Hmm.
and really feel what it means not to have money or what's the value of money, and just live with it. Money one evening, maybe when you are a little hungry or you want to have a chai but you don't have money, just go around. You will find that it means a lot. And the experience is, like you said, the kindness of those guys. uh, that is the currency in the world that I am trying to spread. In
Right.
my head, that's a very, very important part of what is becoming my go-to most of the time. Like, am I kind enough? And obviously, you're falling short all the time. Like, I have now enough number of people running after me in a certain area where I do this. So they all think that I have the. So then once or twice I've stood with the person, the old lady who's asking me for ration, and I'm saying, "Hey, look, you don't need to run after me. Have you seen me say no when I have money? I call you when I tell you na. So please don't come after me. You're embarrassing me and yourself. I will not give you anyways because I don't have the money today. And you got to understand there are days when I may not have the same money that I always seem to have when I'm. So they've been treating me a lot more kindly. Matlab, I can see it in their eyes. Matlab, they have that look that they want to ask me, but they also know कि नहीं यार आज नहीं होगा इसलिए वो जवाब नहीं दे रहा है. They don't run
Hmm.
after me anymore.
Right.
And also the other things are obviously people judge you by your clothes and blah blah. But I would want you to try this experiment for a while without friends, without this, because these
Hmm.
are all cushionings of our social status. दोस्त के
Hmm.
साथ है मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है उसने मेरा स्ट्रॉबेरी ये बना तो मतलब it doesn't even count as a problem. And not to demean your experience, but I'm trying to say there is a safety net along with you.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So you know कि यार नहीं है तो मैं 2 चम्मच वहां से खाऊंगी 2 चम्मच वहां से 5 ग्लास मंगाए 6 लोगों ने खा लिया 8 लोगों ने खा लिया.
Hmm.
You'll manage also. So it's not really a problem. The problem with money when you don't have it, when you really want something, you're going some experience that had happened recently where I said, "Oh, so, okay, there is this funny thing. I'm putting it on the podcast. It doesn't really reflect very nicely of me. So, on that particular day, my account had gone absolutely down and I had a certain amount of money. I've sat in the cab. I'm supposed to receive some money, but it's not coming at this minute, not coming in the next minute. So, I'm already in the cab. I don't have the money. It's a very recent thing, some couple of days back. And I don't have cash on me. And I'm just waiting for that. And I know how much it's going to cost me. It's twice the money that I have right now. And I am supposed to receive a reasonably large amount of money, but it's not coming. It's not coming in that minute. It's not coming in that minute. It's not coming in the minute. So finally, I have to call up a friend and say कि यार ये कर दे, but मेरा फोन नहीं लग रहा है. मतलब एक ने नहीं उठाया और एक के पास जा नहीं रहा है कि यार जीपे कर दे या कुछ कर दे बिकॉज मेरा ये आ नहीं रहा है. मैं आधे घंटे में ही पे कर दूंगा वापस या कुछ. So it's happening, and I'm thinking, kya? And I go back to check my something, and I see the message come in that you have this much money in your account. And it is funny because after many many years, something like this has happened. But I'm saying, and there were other people in the cab with me who had the money. Matlab I could have, but I
Hmm.
just didn't feel. I felt very sheepish about the whole thing that I'm booking the cab and then I'm asking them to pay or whatever.
Right.
But I'm saying at that point in that this, I was like, yeah, it's a blessing to have whatever you have. And when that came, to I was like, always it has to happen like this. That I need to be at the edge of not knowing, and that not knowing gives me the power that I'll be taken care of. It's not about money.
Hmm.
And these are aspects that I would want you guys to think because while I am very happy that your relation with money is not constrained like our generations was, or I am not, madam. I am just showing off perhaps. These days, the way I spend, I think I spend like you all only. But I'm saying I've grown from that part. मतलब वो आया
Hmm.
है कि यार अभी क्या होगा ये कैसा होगा वो कैसा होगा. Um, what is important if there was no money? मतलब can you get into your mind and not say things like honesty and kindness and whatever? You can, but if there is something running in your head, suppose there was no money, there was no value of what you're earning, your
Hmm.
your iPhone, ठीक है, माने I like that example, but it has too many ramifications of what it means as a quality product, as Steve Jobs, as Apple. तो वो उसको थोड़ा साइड में रखते हैं. But I'm saying suppose you had no money at all and there was no need for it or whatever. So what would your life be about? As a generation, Sanjeet, first you go because Janvi jumps and gives good answers. Then we forget the question.
अब पहली बात तो ये कि मेरा जॉब चला जाता, जो भी मैं तैयारी कर
पढ़ाई
रहा
कर
हूँ,
रहा हूँ.
तो उसका कोई फायदा ही नहीं होता.
Would it? I want you to think deeper on that. Is finance only about money?
No. Okay. I think I'll give it a thought.
Okay.
But
It's a very tricky question, actually. It's
It is, it is.
very.
I,
yeah,
I'm known to ask tricky questions only. You guys are easy with tricky questions. That's why you find it easy.
I don't know. But I'll tell you what I was thinking about before that. I'll get back on that.
Okay.
I was thinking about, so this is this lot of, because placement investment की बात चल रही है फिलहाल, तो in my college, so there's a lot of fascination about package, right? कि कितना पैसा मिलता है. And I was just thinking about a lot of why do we benchmark a lot of things by money?
Okay. You were regularly thinking, or you're thinking now to the response to my question?
No, 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 generally also.
Hmm.
मतलब, if the three of us were to think about our favorite teachers, we wouldn't care how much they make.
Hmm.
तो ये क्या बेंचमार्किंग है कि कितने पैसे कमाते हो, इससे तुम्हारा, आई डोंट नो, इन अ वे सोशल स्टेटस, बट ऑल्सो कितना रिस्पेक्ट मिलना चाहिए, तुम कितने सक्सेसफुल हो. इट्स सच अ नैरो डेफिनेशन ऑफ सो मेनी थिंग्स. So I think to begin with, it shouldn't be a benchmark. It shouldn't be something that you. It should be a means to begin with, to get what you want, in that sense. Also, slightly random point. I don't know if this completely answers your question, but I thought it is something interesting to think about, right? So this is a lot of debate about when you go on a first date, who should pay, the guy or the girl. So just thinking about why there's so much, why is it such a big deal, क्या फर्क पड़ता है यार, स्प्लिट करता है या ये देता है या वो देता है. So what they're essentially trying to say, I guess, and I might be wrong, but this is my opinion, what they're essentially trying to get at is कि अगर मैं और एक लड़की डेट पे जाते हैं और अगर मैं पैसा देता हूँ, एज अपोज टू अ स्प्लिटिंग, अगर मैं पैसा देता हूँ, डज द अदर पर्सन फील लाइक दे ओव मी समथिंग, डज द अदर पर्सन फील एंटाइटल्ड टू मी, does it set a power dynamic that is not of equality, as opposed to अगर we are bringing the same money to the table, if मैं और वो similar amount of money split करते हैं, does that set a power dynamic that is more of equality? And that might differ from person to person, of course, but I think that is essentially the thought between saying that let's split the bill when we go for a date, right?
Barabar. Janvi, I don't want you to answer. I'm going to pick this and really poke into you fully. What is the amount of money you will pay for your breathing, for your eyes being able to see, and your ears being able to hear? My question is really out there.
Hmm.
For the essentials of life, Janvi, now taking the example from where he's come, and we both of us sit and we decide that you are going to pay, I am going to pay, or whoever is going to pay. Both of us will split. Chalo. Let's take your example. Forget the date example. I'm saying anybody. Both of us are going to pay. Equality, what shit equality is, man. Yes. It's only
No,
money.
there
There is only
definitely
money, na?
is.
No,
It's only
but
money.
No,
I'm
no,
saying
but
I can give you something with not. I have spent 1 hour of my life with you and given you something that will change your life forever. Mata, how much are you willing to pay me for that? Mane, are we
right.
so blind to the whole thing? I'm saying we are selling ourselves short. No, mother. Finally, it is about. When I started this
but
conversation, I
no,
started with my favorite people. Matlab, you never paid me anything, and neither have I paid you anything, or we are not even in that. We have had no exchange of any sort.
But
All spending our electricity and mobile bills or whatever nonsense on that.
isn't that a little idealistic?
Right,
But what
right,
else is
exactly.
important in life?
No, no, I agree. But I'm also saying I don't think the, anyone's relationship with money, and I don't know. I mean, if you're honest, can you do you think your relationship with money is that simple, or has it reached a
Mm,
point where it's that simple?
most of the times it is that simple. I look at currency as like I said, okay, currency is the vibe that one is. Mother, what are you here for? We are supposed to be the most intelligent of the species
Hmm.
because we've got these brains and rationale and science and whatever, whatever. I mean, birds eat when they want to, they sleep when they, mother, whatever their natural rhythms. It's as simple as that. And not only birds, mother, every species in the world does that, and they are quite okay with it, and
Hmm.
they are as harmed or as harmless or as hopeful or as hopeless as any of us.
Hmm.
Random acts of chance hit us, mother. I'm saying existentially, it's just a piece of paper, man. If you don't give it,
It definitely is. Like I say, to just glorify it and be very nice and kind to the money system is fine. But what Sanjeev is saying is practical only because see, I'll give you an example. I went to my gym and so I wanted to do. I mean, that guy was asking me for personal training, and I went to the owner of the gym. और मैंने उनको बोला कि मुझे ऐसे पर्सनल ट्रेनिंग का वो पूछ रहा है तो कितना दोगे कितने के लिए दोगे and the personal trainer came to me. He's like, you ask the owner or what? Because the owner eats up 60% of the money that we are paying them. And if I wanted to pay the gym trainer who's actually working hard, who's actually helping me out, so that makes a difference. And for example, if a poor guy who's admitted in the hospital, the importance of money that he has, and if a rich person is admitted to the hospital, उनका दोनों का thought process to earn money and to spend that much money बहुत अलग है. And मतलब अगर कोई poor है for example, and उनके लिए it is very important to even count that money. तो इक्वालिटी उधर आएगी ही. मतलब there everybody has set different groups or wo, and you have to go with that if the society has given it to you. I mean, इतना hypothetically सोच के कि I want to be kind and these things are fine, but when you come to practicality, because I have seen this every time. अगर मैं freelancing, when we were having this conversation, I like helping people. अब एक LNT वाला बंदा texted me to make an app for his charity thing. ठीक है, so I made that account. I made a पूरा end to end app, but then I didn't ask him for money because I didn't know the importance of money. But ideally, as a designer, you should ask for it, and you should not be ashamed of asking money for the work that you're providing.
Hmm.
and well,
I'll can I add to
actually,
what?
I want to ask a question to Janvi. So, what
Uh,
happened to those Sindhudurg guys who didn't ask for money? You guys had your missile, you had this. They could have thought, कि अभी खा तो लिया, अब कुछ भी करो, आओ पैसे दो. We don't care if your GPay is not working. I am not even saying that practicality is not an important aspect. मैं
Hmm.
200 चार्ज
Right.
में ना मैं थोड़ी बोलता हूँ दोस्ती में ही सबका काम कर रहा हूँ.
Hmm.
I'm saying one should be very fluid about that whole aspect of there are days that will demand something, there are days that will demand something.
Right.
So
Right.
this
Absolutely.
whole thing about being obsessed with products and money and social status then is undoing whatever good things you have about yourself.
Hmm. Right.
That is
hmm.
happening far more than normal.
Hmm.
So we need to know that एक दिन कोविड आएगा, चुपचाप अपने घर के कोने में बैठना पड़ेगा, कितना भी पैसा है,
Hmm.
फिर तुम गरीब है कि शाहूकार है कि ये है कि वो है.
Hmm.
और whatever माने जो गवर्नमेंट बोलेगी वो सच होगा थोड़े टाइम के लिए. We still don't
Right.
know what happened. माने for all this hoopla that we are so much in power and he's going to get a job. अभी placement चालू हो गया, ये हो जाएगा, फिर कल उसका 5 लाख पगार है पर महीने का, तो he will be very proud and happy, or maybe even contemplating what he is contemplating. How does it all matter once you are sitting at home and you cannot? Are you at peace with yourself is a question that needs to be consistently asked. I'm saying, is that not a currency?
Right, right.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Sorry, Sanjeet.
Makes sense.
No, I
Yeah.
think what Jannavi was trying to say and what I was trying to say before is not, while I fundamentally agree with what you're saying, but also अभी बना लिया है पैसा, अभी उसका सोशल कंस्ट्रक्ट अपने बना लिया है, अभी उसका प्रेशर, मतलब इट माय रिलेशनशिप विद मनी कम्स अ लॉट फ्रॉम व्हाट आई हैव सीन माय पेरेंट्स struggle with. I've seen their relationship with money. I've seen people around me and their relationship with money. Not that I never had money, but ये तो पता चलता है बचपन में भी कि यार ये तो अपने से अमीर है,
Hmm.
ये तो उस रेस्टोरेंट में जाता है, अपनी फैमिली कभी नहीं जाती यार, ऐसा क्यों है?
कौन सी
So
बात?
trying to get at is relationship with money is a little bit more complicated than it should be. I think it should be a lot more simpler.
Yeah,
But
but
because of the conditioning that I have grown up with, at least some part of it I can acknowledge and say कि यार ये तो नहीं चाहिए. Some
Hmm.
part I am still struggling with.
yeah,
And unfortunately or fortunately, we have to live with that, right?
no,
And
that is
try
a
and
part of
sort
the
of,
conversation.
yeah.
I'm not saying there is an ideal scenario. What Janvi said, I completely agree with. Tomorrow, when my client says that I'm not going to pay for it, so I know of various ways of getting my money. That's not the point. That is, I gave you the example of Narayan and Lakshmi happening.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It is, but it is, so it's a force of good that you're spreading in the world because you have the power wherever we stand right now. So
Hmm.
this conversation is only between the three of us. While it's being broadcast, it doesn't really matter to me who thinks what, and somebody writes what a stupid guy you are. You're being so idealistic. You have no idea, uh, or you're a loser, or whatever they want to think about it. It doesn't really matter to me because this simplification that Sanjeet is speaking of will come over a period of time.
Hmm.
This will keep changing till you reach a point where you realize the hopelessness of having a lot of money but of no use, or alternately not having and still being very happy because where you have friends and something good is really happening. So
Hmm.
when I brought the date ke liye my counter view ke, it's about the time spent, and that's not given enough thought.
No, I while I agree with that, but it's also, I mean, I think I'm sort of repeating myself, but it's, I think money can bring a lot of feelings with it. And by that I mean, like I said, entitlement. If I am paying for you, do you feel like I owe you something? Or you owe me something, or that uh, you, I'm doing something for you, which means you're entitled to
I
it.
want you
So,
to think a little more rather than answer your question because I think I have answered it some time back. You need to be with that space of
hmm,
accepting. That's why when you go out and try one day when you don't have money and things happen, like she's mentioned one example, nothing cataclysmic or great is going to happen. But while she mentioned the negative of not being able to pay, I think the feeling of accepting something requires a lot more egolessness
hmm,
than we understand.
Absolutely.
And
hmm,
that quote unquote mangta bhav is why I have been trying to provoke both of you.
hmm,
It's okay to be part of the generation that you belong to, part of the society that we are, and but if these contemplations are not happening, then
hmm,
honestly, the values workshop is a shit piece of work because then we are just talking. If this
hmm,
provocation to actually think deeper than the
hmm,
superficial things that we talk, we were just talking today, and I said these are just words; they don't go anywhere. But my idea is that okay, somebody like
hmm,
Janvi, somebody like Sanjit is sitting there, and if they are somebody like me or whosoever is sitting and saying, oh, this is a perspective, and this is
Hmm.
so. While there are a lot of perspectives, they would have agreed with you today, and
Hmm.
you mentioned a lot of nuances, both of you, with your examples. Uh, but above all, I want to thank you for one specific thing, that you're always so honest and uh, coming up on camera and saying things that are scandalous, to say the least. And it is so heartening to see that this is the reason why this platform has been built, and will perhaps provide solace to people who have any concern with the topics that we are talking of. Not necessarily in the sense that we are seeing, they may have some other things and
Hmm.
better wisdom than us. But yeah, thank you so much for being the people you are, man. I
Hmm.
don't know what to say. Janvi, you specifically have given a lot of. You're my angel investor in the podcast. You know that. And Sanjeet is always ready, yaar. And he keeps sending me message. I am always on. You let me know when you want to come up. Anything that you want to add, or we can then wind up otherwise?
Just one thing I wanted to add to all this conversation and add a nice conclusion to it. The iPhone example is not about the product. It's about no. I'll justify
Love
that.
you too.
So the thing is, keep your audience for this series especially is the youth,
Yes.
right? And so एक का कॉलेज खत्म हो रहा है 4 साल में, एक का खत्म हो रहा है 3 साल में. And I want to tell this to everybody that you are not, ऐसे तुम्हारी वैल्यू तुम अर्न कर रहे हो उसके लिए नहीं है. And in our group, I respect Sanjeev the most because he is damn smart. He is damn cool. And I think the person he is, or the personality you give and the vibe that you give to other people is more important. And what you said कि मैं तुम्हारे साथ ज्यादा टाइम स्पेंड करता हूँ, that can't be compared to the money spent. And this personality I can't compare to the money that I'm earning and you are earning. So that's the thing कि I respect him as a person and I don't think कि अरे तू नहीं काम कर रहा है, तू नहीं earn कर रहा है. That's fine. And for the youth series, I think people have made this in kept this in mind कि अगर मैं नहीं earn कर रहा हूँ तो I don't fit in the group. But you should have that personality. You should have the kindness that you initially had. And we are humans and we
Of
are
course, of course.
people. Yeah, like
There is no conclusion to this kind
ex-
of debate, obviously. But I have
right.
a question that I want to end on. Sanjeet, do you have an iPhone?
I am as far from having an iPhone as you can think of. I have a
Wonderful.
Samsung Galaxy M12 from. I would like to promote on behalf of all Samsung users कि 3 बार स्क्रीन चेंज करवाना पड़ा, 4 साल हो गए, लेकिन अभी भी मस्त चलता है.
Definitely.
No, wonderful. I buy your point, what you said about the iPhone. Also, I understand where you come from. All my design friends are crazy about it. There is no, it's not two ways about. They have worked to get a product like that in the market. Uh, I'm a little dense when it comes to all of that. I'm happy that all my friends are rich, so that my dialogue is that I can retire very soon. So, guys, go out and make a lot of happiness along with the kind of moolah that you make. Next time Sanjeet is meeting me, I'll allow him to pay, man. I have no problems with it at all.
Definitely. I mean,
Even if he's calculating the bill, I'm saying you can
You're
have for both of us, man. Uh, Long pending, maybe one of these days, madam will come to Bombay and all three of us can meet.
definitely
है ना? Thanks so much.
the rate at which she's changing cities. I think the next by the next quarter she'll be in Mumbai, moved here.
Good, good. So thank you so much for the uh, conversation. Quite a few things, that so many thoughts are running still in my head. Uh, I relate to what you guys are going through, and I'm elated by the kind of world that you're bringing in, which is willing to talk and listen to such things which are offbeat. Not very easy to relate to them. I have had people get angry at even the insinuation of कि there is something money kya money nahi, and so one knows. Thank you so much. Uh,
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and
Yes.
What's really interesting is, and you mentioned this, but I think it's so easy to be vulnerable here. अभी मैं और गंदे में बहुत सारी चीजों के बारे में बात करता है, but I think this is the first time we've talked about money. It was
Yeah.
it was really heartening also to talk about all of this and to think about it. And I think it's so
True.
nice because we come here without any apprehension, and then
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
in that moment for a hour and just talking about how we see the world about different things, and
And being
it's so
honest
nice.
about it is
Yeah.
like,
He did say that he was calculating when you were having that tikka, paneer tikka.
Yeah.
खाते खाते
See,
भी मैं कर रही थी.
and I just have to say my friends, all of them are eaters. So
So are mine. So I too am one. So good. Uh, we shall connect soon, and hopefully, I'll be able to broadcast this soon enough. Maybe this week itself. Let's see how it progresses.
Yes.
Thank you.
yes.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Good night.